having me, Marty and Portia. Like Marty said, my name is Jacquis Covington, and I am like you said, simply an early adopter of the metaverse. For any of you that may already know about the metaverse, and feel free to be active in the comments and let me know if you already know. It's a changing, currently a constantly evolving space. So there's really no such thing as an yet. But today I'm looking forward to kind of just showing you guys what I know and how this can kind of be applicable to what you guys are doing here at TrueStar Media and as you guys kind of go into your career field. So in a second here, I'm going to share my screen and I'm just going to walk you guys through a quick PowerPoint that I put together. And then I want to actually show you guys an example of what a metaverse actually looks like today. And keep in mind that we are still in the early adoption stages of this and that this is going to change a lot, especially over the next decade. So I'll go ahead and jump right into it. So this, essentially what you have here are three versions of the web. So it seems like you guys are maybe a lot younger than me, but a lot of you may not have experienced the original inception of Web 1, and that was when the internet boom happened originally, and that was when your parents and everyone else was like crazy about, oh, we're going to be on the internet, we're going to be able to do this, that, and the third. And I think that's actually when emails kind of came about and people transitioned from making phone calls to going to email. And then on to the next Web 2 was kind of when social media was brought into play. And so a lot of you guys have actually been around for that. I use Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, and a lot of those other social media platforms that are up there. And then now we're transitioning into Web 3. And so over the course of history, for any of you guys that may know anything about Web 1, 2, and 3, you guys have experienced all of them to date. You probably are old enough to understand that these were very big times for the world in general. This changes the way that we do everything. And so that is exactly what Web 3 is going to do. It incorporates virtual and augmented reality in very cool ways that are going to impact the rest of your life, how you guys work, and even go to school. So a lot of you guys we're actually on a Zoom meeting right now. Imagine if this meeting was a virtual meeting, which, that's the cool thing about the metaverse. And we're going to get into how that could actually happen as I go a little bit deeper into this PowerPoint. But so what exactly does Web3 consist of? Well, there are a couple of things. So you have the blockchain, you have cryptocurrency, NFTs, and the metaverse. The metaverse is kind of a loose term, and a lot of people, there are a number, a metaverse is not just a virtual thing, for lack of better phrasing. A metaverse is actually a blockchain. A metaverse, if anyone has heard of a Discord group, that is a form of a metaverse. The social media apps that we currently use, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, those are all metaverses as well. So I'm gonna just dive a little bit deeper into each one of these topics. And then, like I said, at the end, I'm gonna walk you guys through an actual metaverse that I use that I think is pretty cool. So, but before we do that, actually, I'm gonna just go through briefly a quick timeline of events. So as you guys can see over here in 1989 is actually when Tim Lee invested into the World Wide Web. That's not really a very known fact, but anytime you talk to someone about this, they'll always reference the Snow Crash novel, which kind of birthed the inception of this idea of a metaverse. And so I personally haven't read this book yet. However, I've heard very good things about it. And as it relates to how the metaverse is kind of coming to be today. And there's also a number of movies. I think a recent one is called Smart Guy or something like that. And it's a really cool movie about if anyone has played, I'm sure a lot of you guys play video games. So maybe if you play, Call of Duty or GTA or, The Sims, Roblox, any one of these games, that movie is about kind of one of the backup characters who comes to life in this virtual world, and he wants to kind of, fend for himself. And it essentially explains what the metaverse is going to be about. In 2006, and I'm just going to cover some of these dates, the ones that are really important, Roblox started allowing users to create online worlds. Another one is Minecraft that allows you to do this as well. And my sister always played Minecraft growing up, and I never understood it until now. There was also the movie Ready Player One that came out. I think it came out a little bit later than 2011, but I assume that this timeline may be referring to something else. And 2014, Facebook acquired Oculus. So if you guys have seen any of those social media videos where people are having on the goggles and they're like boxing or something, those are Oculuses, and that is how people are to date experiencing the metaverse. There's also a number of other companies who are creating these goggles as well, where you can kind of go in and have a virtual experience of some sort. And then most recently in 2021, this is kind of what got my attention. Facebook actually rebranded its name to Meta. So even though there's still the Facebook app around, the company is actually called Meta now. And that was what was really eye-opening for me, because Facebook is such a big company. As for the blockchain, I want you guys to, because when I first learned this concept, it was a little bit difficult. So I want you guys to imagine with this that you are going out to dinner with a couple of friends. And maybe some of you have had experience transferring money via Zelle or Cash App or Venmo or whatever app that you guys may receive money from. And so sometimes there are delays with those transfers. And so if you're sending money to your friend for dinner, it might be instant. It might take 2 to 3 business days. With the blockchain, for starters, these transactions are going to be instant, as well as you just won't have any issues. So I actually put a couple of the transaction issues that you could have when you are doing a transaction. So like I said, technical issues, your account could be hacked. You could have reached your transfer limit for the day, or you could have high transfer charges that you don't want to pay. And so the blockchain essentially solves that issue. And so this is also another thing that when I first started kind of looking into this, I thought that the blockchain only pertained to money, but it actually pertains to a number of things. So you would even see it in a business, like a business platform like Walmart. They might track every single aspect of their shipping process. So down to when the product is farmed, to when it reaches the factory and it's shelved, to when it's shipped out, to when it's stored in the store. It's going to track the blockchain helps people to track things more efficiently. And so the blockchain is unhackable, and it is verifiable by anyone. And so that's essentially, aside from the technology behind it, but that's essentially what keeps the blockchain so safe, is because anyone anywhere can see how a transaction happened, because these blueprints to these transactions are sent out to everyone that utilizes the blockchain. And so if there is someone who manages to hack this in some way, shape, or form, they would not only have to hack one computer, but they would have to hack billions of computers, which makes it, almost unhackable. And then as it pertains to NFTs, has anyone heard of NFTs before? If you have, just go ahead and leave something in the comments. If not, NFTs are basically, and we'll get into this once you'll get a better idea of everything that I'm saying. It should all come together once we explore this metaverse platform that I'm going to show you guys. NFTs can be a number of things. And so what you guys are seeing right now are 4 different NFTs that are, all of which I've seen somewhere, and maybe some of you guys that are familiar with the space have seen as well. Just looking at it, it might just look like some type of graphic, but these graphics can actually hold utility to them. And what utility is it offers you further experience with a given group. And so, for example, there is the Yacht Club. There is a company that there is Forever 21 is in the metaverse, and we'll actually explore their space shortly. But these companies, these people, these groups, anyone can create these NFTs, which is why I'm speaking to you guys today, because you guys can create these and you can create utilities behind them that would enable you or enable your friends to access certain things. So as it pertains to like your favorite shopping store, let's say it's Forever 21. Forever 21 could release one of these NFTs, which is essentially graphic design of some sort. And just because you own this NFT, you can then go and get 25% off of all of your clothes for 5 years, or maybe it's for life. And so that's kind of like, at a very minimal scale, that's the power behind these NFTs. As well as some groups will even use it for you to access specific groups in real life. And even there's other things like DAOs and whatnot that you can get involved in, which are just, again, organized groups, all of which is tracked on the blockchain. And so when you have one of these NFTs, a lot of people will say, well, hey, this is cool, but like, what's to say that someone doesn't just go in and just copy this picture and show it to someone and say, hey, I have this NFT too, I should have access to this. And so again, going back to this is all connected. So it's all on the blockchain. And so whoever, let's say Portia creates, this NFT on the far left, because she created it, she's going to be listed as the creator on the blockchain. When she sells it, she creates a smart contract with the NFT, and whoever she sells it to, that transaction is always going to be on the blockchain. And so everyone has access to these transactions once they happen. And so there's no way to kind of like fake it. And so as we go on in the future, you'll see a lot of use cases for this sort of thing. And I'll get into a little bit more about how you guys can kind of get started with this. But if you are, a lot of you guys, I'm sure, are experienced with, graphic design of some sort, and this is just people's artwork, and these NFTs actually sell. You can actually sell these NFTs and make money right now. That's the thing that's really, really cool about the space. And then a couple of the metaverse platforms that are really popular right now are Decentraland, which is one that I like to use. I think it's really cool. The Sandbox, for any Snoop Dogg fans, Snoop Dogg is kind of like the ambassador for that platform, and so he's got his mansion there, and he sells NFTs through his social media platform. And if you own an NFT that he gives out, you can actually go to his mansion wherever it is in real life, and you can actually meet Snoop Dogg. Not to mention, you can also access his mansion within the Metaverse platform, which is really cool. Obviously, because he's a celebrity, his NFT might be a little bit more pricey, but don't let that discourage you from getting on this platform and creating, because with this, essentially, people, first of all, they like art, and as you guys may have saw in the last slide, these are simple pieces of art, and essentially what gives them value is how we value them. And so someone like Snoop Dogg might, off the rip, have more value behind this just because they're a celebrity. But if you are delivering something that is cool to someone else, or that provides a value that someone else is interested in, that is kind of how you can make a career out of this for yourself. And so actually, before I get a little bit ahead of myself, the other two are Roblox, which a lot of you may have heard of, and then Horizon Worlds. Horizon Worlds is actually the one that you can go on and experience through the Meta Quest 2. That's actually what I use. So I go on Horizon Worlds and Decentraland, and when you're in Horizon Worlds, it's very cool. So like I said earlier, we could be having this conversation with our goggles on, and instead of you guys just seeing me on this Web 2 platform, you guys would actually see me in a Web 3 three-dimensional platform, and it's really cool. It's very hard to explain without you guys kind of being having access to the system. But I will get into, perhaps maybe another time I can speak to you guys about that. For now, I'm going to actually pull up the platform. So this here is Decentraland, and I'm actually going to take you guys back to the main starting point. And this might take a small minute to load, but we'll get to it. In the meantime, we're gonna, as we go through and explore this Metaverse platform that I'm gonna show you, one of the ways that you guys can kind of get involved in this now is you can essentially just do what I did and kind of just research it. And there's a lot of YouTube content out on there that's actually valid. There's also articles that you can read to kind of just familiarize yourself with the space. But as it pertains to your career, you're gonna see a lot of buildings that have been created. this is all graphic design. And so you can become a graphic design architect, which is really cool. It's high in demand right now for a lot of big companies like Facebook, Oculus, Microsoft, several of these and several other companies that are doing. So this is me. It's supposed to be me, and like I said, this stuff is in the beta stage, so it's going to get better over time. But I'm going to go down this tunnel. It's going to take me into the world, and now I come down and I'm at a bar. There's just a bunch of stuff you can do in here. The map's huge. There's these things called parcels, which I'm going to show you guys in a second. And you can actually buy parcels. So everything in the metaverse is essentially an NFT. Everything that you guys see in front of you is an NFT of some sort, and it's owned by someone. And because I'm interacting on their virtual land, they actually make money from this. So that's another really cool part of it. I've never actually been to this space that I'm running to, but I assume it's a theater of some sort. And so the experiences are limitless here. People have created games within these parcels, which I'm going to, like I said, show you in a second. And you can actually go on here and play video games and interact with people. My microphone is off, but when there are people here, you can actually talk to them. And it's the same thing with the Meta Quest, which is really cool. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually pull up the parcel map now, and I'll just show you guys like this, every single one of these parcels that you guys are seeing me kind of just scroll through, they're all owned by someone. And so there's, as you can see by the names, there's a bunch of different names. And just because there isn't a name on one of the parcels doesn't mean it's not owned by someone. It's probably just owned by, for example, Dragon's Caring probably owned the Soho Plaza, Forever 21, which we're going to check that out in a second. But you never really know what you're going to get on any of these. They're all pretty cool in nature, but I just know I wanted to show you guys Forever 21 because that one is a relatively new one. I'm not exactly sure how well it's doing yet. We'll also go and see Ice Poker. I think I viewed that one early. That's like a version of Las Vegas in a virtual world. So, but first, I'll take you guys to Forever 21 and we'll check that one out really quick. And did anyone have any questions yet?
Yes, I just asked if we were viewing the beta metaverse right now.
So yeah, so this is a Decentraland is not technically beta, but if you were to go, all of this stuff, beta is essentially, to my understanding, it just means that we're in the early stage. So every metaverse platform that you see right now is beta version. So yes, this is beta. This is going to look a lot better as time goes on. My biggest complaint with this is that this is a Web 2 version of Web 3 is supposed to be. Web 3 is supposed to be immersive, and you're supposed to be there physically as your virtual self, or even there's this thing called augmented reality as well. So when you guys are in class, for example, you might, instead of there being a whiteboard, you might have on your glasses and the map, which is really cool, and that's where this technology is. But does that answer your question? I wasn't sure who asked that.
Yes, it did. One other thing. Sure. Is it free to access these platforms, or?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So you can access this for free. This is Decentraland.com, and I'll send Marty some of the websites that you guys can go to access this. I only know about Decentraland and Horizon Worlds. Horizon Worlds, you do have to have the Meta Quest to access the platform. But as for Decentraland, you can go on here, you can sign up as a guest. You're going to create your avatar, and then you can just kind of go and experience this space and see what you like about it. And like I said, I would highly suggest that you go look up some YouTube videos. There's a guy that I follow. His name is Gary Vaynerchuk, and maybe a lot of you guys have heard of him. He has an NFT project called VeeFriends, and he really breaks down what all of this is and the future implications of it. There are endless implications to this, and I really think that even at the bare minimum, that you guys all at least just take a small look into this, because I seriously do think that it's going to be the future. So take you guys into Forever 21. Forever 21 is pretty empty, and the lights are going to turn on in a second. But this is a new space that was just, I think this was just put on here at the start of April. Forever 21 actually has a store, and a lot of you are probably like, why would I want to go to Forever 21 in the Metaverse? And so Forever 21, there's a lot of fashion companies in the Metaverse, such as Gucci, like I said, Forever 21, and a bunch of other brands that I don't personally care to purchase, but people virtually like to express themselves the same ways that they like to express themselves in the real world. So companies like Zara as well will actually create clothing for the Metaverse. There was an article that recently came out several months ago from Stephen Curry, who actually sold a pair of shoes in the Metaverse for over $300. So super cool. And then on the resale, for any of you that are interested in, any of you guys that are, I think they call them sneakerheads, the resale value of shoes actually was up to like $3,500, which is just which is a pretty interesting, in my opinion. So that is Forever 21. There is an upstairs, but it's not anything much different than the downstairs. I'll show you guys another platform that has more people, so you can see that this is an interactive space. I personally think you guys would have the most fun utilizing the Meta Quest. So if anyone has any birthdays coming up or something that they're celebrating, and you want to ask your parents or something, I think that that's the route to go, because I think you will enjoy the experience a lot more, just because it is so much more realistic. But after I show you guys this other platform with other people, I will open it up for additional questions that anyone else has. So I was here earlier, and like I said, I think there's a bunch of people that just start randomly popping up in this space, as you guys can see that. But this is essentially just a casino, and if I had my microphone on, you would actually hear a lot of people just having conversations. And the Metaverse, if any of you guys have heard of spatio hearing, it's something that I think is relatively new. I know that Apple headphones have it, and so it's just like how if you're close to someone in real life, if you got two people, on one person on your right and one person on your left, but the person on your left is talking, you would hear them out of your left ear as opposed to your right ear. That's essentially what spatio hearing is. And so when I have my microphone on in here, what you're going to hear is the people that are talking to me that are closest to me, as opposed to everyone in this entire room. And so, like I said, super cool. As far as the headset, it's really cool because, like I said, we're still in the early stages, but within a decade or so, this is actually going to be a lot more immersive than what it is now. And what I mean by that is there's going to be actually full body suits that you can wear. Right now, you can only wear a headset, and they're pretty bulky. They're not too heavy, but the route that they're going is looking to make these into eyeglasses or contacts. Which contacts thing seems a little bit of a stretch to me, but as far as the bodysuits, you'll actually be able to experience touch. So if someone shakes your hand in the Metaverse, you'll actually be able to feel the handshake, which is really, really cool. So like I said, a lot of you guys, I'm sure you guys are teenagers, or maybe you're approaching that stage in your life where you're becoming teenagers. So going into college, this is going to be a big thing for you guys, and a lot of you guys are already kind of going down the right path. So for the sake of time, I will not walk around this space, but I'll open it up for questions.
I had a question about the ownership thing they were talking about. So I heard like if you could own something in the Metaverse and in real life. I just want to know, do you know about how that'll work?
Yeah. So essentially, outside of this, I sell commercial real estate, but I also sold residential real estate in the past. And so, for example, this goes back to the blockchain conversation. So you can actually transact a deed to a house on the Metaverse. And so what you would do is that deed would be, so like I said, those NFTs are essentially smart contracts. When, like I said in the example, if Portia were to create an NFT of some sort and then sell it to Marty, that will always be there. And so as it pertains to the deed, there could be a contract created on the metaverse between myself, and I didn't see whose name it was that asked the question, but myself and whoever asked the question, and that would actually be on the blockchain forever. It will be a digital transaction, but you would, in the real world, you would be transacted that physical property, and that whatever money that you're going to pay to that person for their property and the bank, that's going to go to them instantly. And so it gets rid of the wait. And there's a number of other use cases for how you can own physical assets in the real world through transacting on the blockchain. And so as you guys kind of do your research in this, you'll see that a lot of banks have actually already gotten started with this. And I've also actually spoken to companies who actually do real estate investing in the metaverse, which is, like I said, really cool. Yeah. Any other questions? Or does that answer your question?
Yeah, it answered. Thank you.
I have a question.
Oh, yeah,
You
go
can
ahead.
go. All right. Oh, thank you. My name is Jeremiah. So with the things like going on in Russia and Ukraine and like stocks, I mean, Metaverse is a part of like the economy kind of, and Facebook and all these other companies are like investing into the Metaverse. I know that the Metaverse really like it took off during like January, since like the November, and I know that Facebook is like pumping like billions and billions of dollars into the metaverse, and then like the metaverse lately, because of the Ukraine and thing, like it's losing steam, and like they're like pulling off of the metaverse project. So do you have like hope that the metaverse will like continue to form, or what do you have to say about like the recent news about the metaverse? Because I do keep up with like the stock market and the metaverse and stuff, and Facebook is supposed to hold like a mandate, like I don't know when, maybe next week, maybe tomorrow, about whether they're going to continue like the project, and they're pumping $10 billion into this project. So
yeah, no, that is a very great point that you make. And to that point, I read an article actually this morning. It came out 6 hours before I read it, from Mark Zuckerberg, that was kind of just talking about the metaverse and how this is going to be a long-term play, and it's going to take about a decade for this to truthfully be what Mark Zuckerberg expects this to be. But then again, Mark Zuckerberg isn't the only one that's creating the metaverse, and quite frankly, a lot of people don't want Mark Zuckerberg to create the metaverse because of what we've seen with Facebook. But as it pertains to Russia and what else is going on around the world, this is I think that there's a lot of people. I'm not going to put all the blame on Russia, but a lot of people are. This is just about like, how can we get back at America for putting these sanctions on us, and in my opinion, and so on and so forth. And so, if you look at Russia and some of the things that are happening in Ukraine, actually, there are actually people who are transacting on the blockchain to help these countries. And so, like, you see donations and whatnot that are going to and from these countries to kind of help sustain their efforts in the war. And so, to answer your question, I think that it's going to slow it down, but I don't think that this thing is stopping. It's not to say that it's going to happen tomorrow or next year. Kind of like Mark Zuckerberg said, this is going to be a long time in the making for all of this. And Jeremiah, since you've been following this, you're probably aware that like the blockchain has been around for a very long time. The idea of the metaverse has also been around for a very long time. And so this is just what I like to look at it as a small roadblock. And you probably also heard recently about Meta got sued, and I can't exactly remember what it was about, but if their stock dropped like I think like $200 or so, like something crazy, because I remember I was like following it and I was like, I'm gonna invest in this. So I would still be pretty optimistic about it. I would just take this time to really just continue to learn and keep doing what you're doing as far as just following the information and staying on top of it.
Okay. Yeah, because like I know that the stock market is like very, very unpredictable right now. And I know that since some companies are they're moving their marketing like to the metaverse. I know that Nike has done it, and I have like followed Roblox a lot because I know my brother and my cousins, like they play Roblox. So it seemed like a really good idea when Nike was bringing out these campaigns for like the metaverse and shifting their marketing and taking stuff, the shoes and products from Foot Locker and whatnot, so they could sell in the metaverse.
Mhm.
And like that was like really a lot of people were talking about it in like 2-3 months ago. And now that the stock market is unpredictable and you never know when we might go into a recession, and Ukraine is, you don't know what's going on with that situation. It kind of seems like companies are like kind of pulling back. So I don't really know right now.
Yeah, no, great point, and quite frankly, neither do I. I think it's all right now. It's you know, like I said, everything is changing day in and day out, and a lot of the use cases that we're seeing in the metaverse in general or Web3 is it's all speculative. So there's no telling what the future is going to hold. I'm shocked that, to your point, I'm shocked that after Steph Curry dropped that first pair of shoes, that he hasn't since dropped something else. And so, and I also haven't seen any headlines about Nike or Under Armour that have come out recently. However, as it pertains to careers in the space, that's just about every other article that I'm reading about how there's a war on talent right now, especially in the tech industry. Graphic design, I'm gonna count it as a tech job. And these companies are paying. I mean, like I said, Jeremiah, I don't know how old you are, but these companies are actually
16.
paying 16,
Yeah.
16. So these companies are actually paying 18-year-olds to come into these companies and work. And these guys are making 6-figure salaries, which is really telling for the future of this space. And so while there has not been anything that is, recently come out that's been like huge, where like Nike's dropping this big project and so on and so forth, I think there's still a lot of things that are going on. And quite frankly, I feel like I recently heard that Adidas dropped like an NFT or I forget what you call it. They did Jeremiah, do you know the name of like when they dropped the large NFT collections? I forget what it's called, but it's essentially when they
Yeah. I know exactly what you mean. I
yeah,
forgot the name too.
I can't get the name. I can't get the name
Yeah.
of it right now. But yeah, so I think, yeah, like I said, I think things are happening, but I think, like I said, it's going to take some time. You're 16, and you've got a lot of life left to live, and as you kind of go on with your education, I'm sure this thing will continue to linger on, and hopefully you get to take advantage of it.
Yeah.
Hi, Jacquis. So another question. So in marketing, before we joined over, we were talking about like just the opportunities. So how I was hearing about how people were buying up real estate in the metaverse.
Yeah.
So when you were showing those blocks,
Mhm.
are those little tiny little blocks, were each of those considered like real estate of what a company? So Forever 21 had to buy a block, and then that block would be like the Forever 21 world.
Yeah. So yes. So each one of those parcels was a form of virtual real estate. And in each metaverse, there is only a limited number of these real estate platforms. And so what you have to understand right now, there's a lot of people that are kind of rushing into the space. And I'm not here to give anyone investment advice of any sort, but with the metaverse, just like Facebook and Snapchat and Instagram and all these other social media platforms, there were a bunch. Like there was Vine, and maybe you guys are old enough to know what Vine was, MySpace, and all these other social media platforms that kind of just went away. And then, you had Facebook and Instagram and Twitter emerge as like the true leaders in the space. And so as it pertains to purchasing real estate in these metaverse platforms, there's a number of metaverse platforms that I didn't even mention on my PowerPoint. And so you have people that are going out and they're going to buy at all these platforms, but those platforms might not be anything down the line. But like I said, a lot of the property values that you're seeing in the metaverse, it's all speculative, and it's based on what people are willing to pay. That goes for, these are all NFTs, but that goes for any NFT that's going to be in the metaverse. And so, just to bring it back full circle to your question, yes, that is that parcel that Forever 21, we assume they purchased it, but quite frankly, they very well may just be renting it from someone, because the parcels have actually gone up a lot in value, especially in Decentraland. So when this kind of first started, from what I was seeing, you could get a parcel for like $2,000. Then they rose to 5,000, then 10,000, and now some of them are, around $2 million. I think one just sold for $2.4 million in Decentraland this year. So it's a very interesting time to be considering real estate in general in the metaverse. Me personally, I would probably wait it out a little bit longer, but that's just me. Anyone else have any other questions?
Well, I didn't know there was a limited number of parcels
because,
available, so that's smart. Like I was telling, like, it's all about money. So like, what's gonna bring in the most money from a marketing perspective? So
well, I mean, and that's another thing that kind of like everything in the metaverse is marketing. And the metaverse is essentially, while what I showed you today was a cartoon version of the metaverse, I don't really love Decentraland or Horizon World, Sandbox, or Roblox, because I don't think that that's what the metaverse is intended to be. But as it pertains to marketing, that is, in my opinion, all the metaverse is about. It is the real world that's just, being experienced on another platform. And so, companies have found, the craziest ways to kind of get in there and advertise. And for someone like Forever 21, just being in the space is all the advertising that they need. And even like, I've spoken to a client called Molson Coors. It's actually an alcoholic beverage company, this is actually kind of crazy, but they're trying to get they have, non-alcoholic beverages also, but they're trying to get their brand in front of the youth, unfortunately, at a really, really early age, but that's a form of marketing for them. So it's a really, really interesting space where I see this going. There was a metaverse platform that I didn't mention in my PowerPoint. It's called, you know what, I don't have the name off the top of my head. And Jeremiah, I'd be really interested to hear your thoughts on this, maybe in another time or something like that. But essentially, this metaverse platform allows you to actually go out and buy parcels of the real world. And so I always bring up the example, think about Michigan Avenue. Everyone kind of knows where that is in Chicago. And you can buy these parcels. There's only a certain number of parcels, right? But it represents the real world. And let's imagine Kanye West, probably the worst example, but he's a Chicago artist, right? And so he can go and buy up every single parcel on Michigan Avenue. And then he can have someone from TrueStar Media create a NFT of him performing a concert. And then now he's got a augmented reality concert that can be accessed at any time on Michigan Avenue. And so like, these are some of the use cases of the metaverse and where it's going to be going. I'll send the name of that platform to Marty, because I think that's a really cool one to check out. Like I said, that's one where you can go and buy virtual real estate in the real world technically, and you can transact with it and create NFTs, and you make profit based off of other people's interaction with your NFTs. And so just to bring that all full circle, if anyone has ever played Pokemon Go, where you kind of just go around and look on your phone to see the NFT, that's kind of how this platform that I'm describing right now would work. And it's called Something Worlds. So,
yeah, I know. I know exactly what you mean. Is it Super World? Is that
it's
what it's
Super World,
called?
yeah.
Super World. Yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah. So that one is a really, really cool one, and that one is like I said, a lot of these metaverse platforms are very new, but if I'm not going to spend $5,000, $10,000, $2 million in Decentraland, but I would spend $200 on a parcel in Super World and just see, how it goes. You can always sell, but like I said, I'm not giving any investment advice. So like I said, I would highly suggest, everyone do their research on this. Jeremiah seems like he knows a lot too. So definitely hit him up as well.
Awesome. All right. Well, I know we don't want to hold you. We're going to be wrapping up soon. Are there any other questions for Jacquis?
I'm okay. This is my last question. So I see Forever 21 is in there, And so I just can't help to think about they making commercial properties and stuff viable. Are they gonna start like making, putting clothing racks in there, like making it where the people could look over the clothes, like online shopping?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know, that's a thought because the stores are already there. So would they put clothing racks there so the people could fake, shop, but it's really, really shopping. Like you put the money, the currency on there and they actually ship you the stuff. So I wonder how they gonna, do this.
Yeah, that is a great point, and I'm glad that that's where your thinking is going, because that is exactly what companies are going to do, actually. And the currency that you mentioned, the blockchain works with cryptocurrency, and so that's how you would kind of transact with that. There's a lot of problems with cryptocurrency in general, especially gas prices, but that's another story for another day. But as it pertains to what you said, I don't know if they'll have clothing racks, but they'll have something where you can go and you can interact with your avatar with the clothing, and you might transact a virtual piece of clothing for your avatar, like a hoodie or something like that. But then you might also be able to order that hoodie in real life, and at the same time that you do that transaction for your avatar, you're going to get that transaction to your house. And so there's a lot of use cases out there about that right now. There's restaurants that are going to be in the space. On the Meta Quest, I actually attended a event that McDonald's hosted, which was pretty cool. I didn't get any McDonald's delivered, but that's not really my restaurant of choice. But that's exactly where this new platform is going. So it's all about convenience.
Awesome. Why am I still muted? Oh, I'm not muted.
Like one more thing. So Jacquis, I know that a lot of people know about the NFTs and the metaverse and the blockchain and whatnot, but a lot of people don't know like how to create a crypto. I have one. I use OpenSea, but can you like explain like everyone else like how to create a crypto wallet so that they can buy these things you're talking about?
Yeah. So there's so I only have experience creating one Meta wallet, and I use a platform called MetaMask. That's not to say that that's the best one. I think you Jeremiah, I think you mentioned that you used what was it, a crypto wallet or something like that?
OpenSea, I use crypto wallet.
OpenSea, yeah. And then there's also one, I have one on my phone. I have another app on my phone. I think it's like I think that you can get like a Coinbase wallet of some sort. And so essentially, I created mine so long ago, but essentially what you do, you're gonna download this app. You can put any you can put any amount of money on there. You can put $5, you can put $1 on there, but just to kind of get it active. Once you do that, to my understanding, they're going to walk you through this process of creating this password, but you don't actually create the password. They give you, and I don't know if this is how yours works, Jeremiah, but for MetaMask, how mine works is they give you 9 random words, and that is essentially the password to your wallet. And you never want to lose that password. You never want to display it on the internet or anything, but essentially they're like 9 very simple words in a certain order, and you just you use that to access your wallet. But what I'll do is I can send Marty a couple of websites where you can go and get a crypto wallet, and that way if you want to access the platform, you can do so. But for Decentraland and the MetaQuest Horizon Worlds that I mentioned, you actually don't even need a MetaMask. You can just sign in as a guest if you just want to experience it before you put any of your money into it. As for creating NFTs, there's a lot of different ways that I've seen. I have never created an NFT, but I know that some people use Adobe to go and like create whatever this art pieces that they're going to put out there. Or there's even a bunch of new free platforms that you can utilize that are even, I think some of them are mobile, and you can just go and create whatever it is and turn it into an NFT, and you can put your utilities behind it, and so on and so forth, and just start. And so you would be very, very surprised. Like I said, I would not let your age get in the way. I think it's actually your group that is probably making the most money right now out of anybody in this space. And it's not all about money, but it's really fascinating to me. I can answer if Veronica, and I'm sorry if I mispronounce your name, has a question, but I can answer it.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead, Veronica.
Oh, did I raise my hand?
Yeah, it looks like, oh, you know what? No, you didn't. So sorry about that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, for whatever reason, my mouse looks like it's a raised hand. So sorry about that.
Oh.
But yeah, any other questions?
I have one question. Oh, my bad. You can go, Monty.
Let's see. I saw Jalen, and then I couldn't see who was the other person.
Looks like it was Amani.
It was me.
Okay, go ahead. We'll go to Monty and then Jalen.
Okay, my name is Amani Willis, and I just had a question about NFTs. I was wondering if there's any people that you would watch, like on YouTube, or any articles that you would read to just get started with it, because I know a lot of my family knows about it, but they're not giving me the information that I need. So I was just wondering if you had any that I could watch or listen to.
Yeah, I would highly recommend if you have an iPhone, there's a plethora of podcasts that are out there, and while I don't have a specific one to recommend there's just a lot. And what I do is with the podcasts, I'll go through a bunch of them and I'll just say like, okay, does this sound interesting? Do I need to know about this? And then I'll watch it. But someone in specific that I would highly recommend that you check out because of how they break it down is Gary Vaynerchuk. And you can even find him. You can just do Gary V. And he'll come up, just put Gary V NFTs, and he will break it down. He'll explain it. I think he even has videos where he shows you how you can make them. He'll explain it in a much better way than I can. And if you want to get like any additional insight on the metaverse, I think it's also great to kind of just listen to some of the interviews that the leaders in the space do. So like Mark Zuckerberg has a lot of videos out there on YouTube that you can just go and listen to. And then if your parents, or if you have any subscriptions to like Business Insider, for example, like that's one that I use to stay up to date with a lot of the news and from a business aspect of like what's happening, what businesses are getting involved, what are people doing from a marketing standpoint. That's how I kind of stay up to date on it.
Awesome.
Okay, thank you so much.
That's a great
no
question,
problem.
Amani. And then Jalen, I guess we'll close out with you.
So my question is, do you have any thoughts on how the metaverse may affect people psychologically?
Yeah, that's a great question as well, Jalen. I have some mixed thoughts there. Candidly, there's I don't know if any of you guys have seen the show. Like the first thing that comes to mind when I think about the metaverse is like people, number one, could get trapped into this identity that they create online. But if you think about it, a lot of that stuff already happens with social media. And so this kind of goes back into what I think Elijah asked this question about kind of how can you buy like clothes in real life for yourself as you buy them for your avatar. And so people kind of without realizing kind of associate their status on social media to who they are in real life. So like I said, I think a lot of these things are already happening. Do I think they're going to get worse as a result, or could they be worse? Yes, I do. But I know, like for example, Meta is already kind of working to kind of put restrictions on the platform for people under a certain age group to kind of prevent these sort of things from happening. And I don't exactly know all of the technical details of how that's going to prevent anyone from, becoming delusional about who they are or what you have it. But I do know that they're at least working on it. Catfish culture will probably be at an all high. Dating, I met my girlfriend on a dating app, which is crazy. But like even like that's another thing where they say the metaverse, like people are going to there's going to be dating platforms on the metaverse, which is actually very, very crazy, very scary as well. But I guess who am I to talk, because I met my girlfriend on a dating app. But it's a very interesting space, and I am concerned about that. But for what it's worth and for what the metaverse is going to be, I think a lot of the things that are bad, I think a lot of the bad is going to be outweighed by a lot of the good that the metaverse is able to accomplish for a lot of us personally.
All right, thanks.
Yeah, no problem.
Great take. Great take. Psychologically, socially,
Yeah, yeah.
emotionally, all of that. Um, but Jacquis, thank you so much.
Yeah, no
And
problem.
thank you all you all were really engaged in asking a lot of great questions. So thank you all as well.
Yeah,
Can we get contact you, like, like your email and stuff if we want to ask questions?
Yeah. Or like,
yeah,
do you have your LinkedIn or anything like
yeah.
that you can
As a
share?
matter of fact, if it's okay, as a matter of fact, if I can post it in the chat or I can send it to Marty. I just have been in contact with her. And if she could just kind of distribute it, that would be more than fine for you guys to reach out. That's okay.
Yeah, I can do that.
Okay, cool. Well, I'll connect with you after this, Marty, and I'll get you the links to some of those platforms, as well as the Gary V's YouTube channel and the LinkedIn where you guys can just come in and reach me at.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. I really appreciate all the questions. I appreciate you guys for having me, and that a lot of you are able to, get in this space and, make lots of money and be happy and make your parents proud. So.